Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of review for a minute. And hopefully you're going to see how everything we've been doing is tied into what we're doing now. Okay. Let's say that I take the fraction 1/3. Okay. I can turn that into other fractions by taking 1/3 and multiplying it by 2/2, for example. And when we multiply fractions, we multiply the tops, we multiply the bottoms. So 1/3 is exactly the same thing as 2/6. Okay, it's the same amount. 1/3 and 2/6 is the same amount. So that means 1/3 is equal to 2/6. I can take 1/3 and multiply it by 3/3, because remember 2/2 is 1, 3/3 is 1. And so when I multiply by 3/3, I get 1 times 3 is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. So 1/3 is also 3/9. I can do that with other fractions. I can do that with halves. And I can say that 1/2 is exactly the same thing as 2/4. Okay, so if we take the fraction 1/2 and we multiply the top and bottom by 2/2, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. 1/2 is exactly the same as 2/4. It's the same amount. We're just writing the fraction as more chopped up pieces. We're chopping that fractional part up into other pieces. Okay. We also looked at working backwards. If I have 5/10, then if I have a 5 on the top and a 10 on the bottom, I know that 5 goes into 10. So I'm going to write the top as 5 times 1. And the bottom I'm going to write as 5 times 2. And if I have a common factor, I can divide that out, and I'm left with 1/2. So we have equivalent fractions, fractions that are the same for each, and then we have reducing fractions going backwards. Okay, so that's what we've spent the last few days, especially last week, working on. Well, now what we want to do is we want to look at adding fractions. If I wanted to add 1/2 plus 1/3, here's a half and a third. And if I asked you to name that, there is no name for it. It's not a half-third or a third half. There's no name for it. So we have to sort of rewrite this in a different way. We have to change it up a little bit. So what we do is we find a common denominator. Okay. For the warm-up problem today, when I found the common denominator, I did something a little bit, or not the warm-up, the one that y'all had a question about that I worked. I did it a little bit different. The easiest way to do it is to take each denominator and do the multiples. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 12. So you should do at least about 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times and y'all, I am just being crazy today. Let's start over with 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6, not 9. 2 times 4 is 12. When we did the 3, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. We can stop right there. 2 and 3 both go into 6, and that's the smallest number. So I'm going to change each of these into sixths. Well, if I change 1/3 into sixths, I get 2/6. Because I can take 1/3 and I can multiply the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. And so 1/3 becomes 2/6. The 1/2, we're going to turn it into sixths, and it becomes 3/6. Because I can take the bottom and multiply it by 3, and I can take the top and multiply it by 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. You can see that we have 3/6 as our 1/2. So we just took 1/2 and rewrote it. We took 1/3 and rewrote it. Now we can add those together because the denominators are the same. And 3 plus 2 is 5. And you can see that I have 5/6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here's what's happening visually. Here's what's happening with the arithmetic. You need to be able to, and I've been saying this since our first day, you've got to make the connection between the visual stuff and the arithmetic. So here's why we had to do this arithmetic, because now I have a name for this. The name of it is 5/6. Before, I didn't have a name for this because there's no such thing as half-thirds or third halves. That doesn't exist. So we have to be able to name what that amount is, and that amount is 5/6. Okay? So we're doing the same thing. All right? Now, we're not on the, I think that was the first problem on the guided practice sheet. But I'm going to do one more like this that's not on the guided practice, I don't think, because I want you to see this again. What if I want to add 1/3 and 1/4? There is no name for this amount. It's not a 3/4. It's not 2/7. There's no name for that. So what we have to do, if we're going to take 1/3 and add 1/4, we need a common denominator. Well, the factors of 3 are 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. I need more coffee, y'all. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. There we are. So we have to change each of these into 12ths. That's the least common denominator. So the 1/3, if I'm going to change that into 12ths, I would have to multiply the bottom by 4 so that I get 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do the exact same thing on the top. 1 times 4 is 4. Well, you can see visually that if I change the 1/3 into 12ths, there it is. 4/12 makes up 1/3. Then to change 1/4 into 12ths, to get 12 on the bottom, I have to multiply the 4 by a 3. 4 times 3 is 12. If I do that on the bottom, I must do that on the top. 1 times 3 is 3. If I take that 1/4, I can see that 1/4 is 3/12. So we changed the 1/3 into 4/12, and we changed the 1/4 into 3/12. Now I can add those together because the denominator is the same. And 4 plus 3 is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I can name that amount. I can name this. Okay, that does have a name. Its name is, it's like herding cats, is 7/12. 1/3 and 1/4 put together makes 7/12. The visual tied to the arithmetic. Okay. All right, let's look at that guided practice sheet. And again, we're going to work these together. If you've worked ahead, that's fine, but I want you to stop working ahead and let's work these together. Okay, so you need to give me just a second to pull this up. Okay. So the first one we did 1/2 plus 1/3. We changed each of those to sixths. To multiply 2, to change 2 into 6, we have to multiply the bottom by 3. I can do it over here on this side. And I have to multiply the top by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. 1/2 is 3/6. Then we change 1/3 into sixths, multiply the bottom by 2 to get 6. I have to do the same thing on the top and get 2/6. 1/2 is 3/6. 1/3 is 2/6. And now when we add that together, we get 5/6. Okay? And we're going to work across. So the next one is 5/8 minus 1/4. We need a common denominator because the denominators are not the same. So 8, the factors of the multiples of 8 are 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. Let's do 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 is the least common denominator. So I'm going to change both of these fractions into eighths. Well, the first one is already in eighths. It's 5/8. So we don't have to do anything to it. But the 1/4 has to be changed into eighths. So I have to multiply the bottom by 2 to get 8. And so I have to do the exact same thing. Sorry about that. I have to do the exact same thing on the top that I did on the bottom. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. Now the denominators are the same. So the denominator in the answer will be 8. And we do the subtraction. 5 minus 2 is 3. So we get 3/8. Okay, let's go down to the next one. 3/4 plus 1/12. 3/4 plus 1/12. Okay, so our multiples of 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. Well, I can see I'm going to have a match there because 12 times 1 is 12. So our common denominator, I'll do it underneath, our common denominator is 12. So I have to change 3/4 into twelfths. So I look at this denominator and I ask myself, what did I do to 4 to turn it into 12? Well, I multiplied by 3 on the bottom. If I multiply by 3 on the bottom, I have to multiply by 3 on the top. 4 times 3 is 12 on the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9 on the top. 1/12 is already in twelfths, so we don't need to change it. So we get 1/12. Now our answer is going to be twelfths, and we add 9 plus 1 and get 10. Well, I need to think. We should always check our answers. When we were up here at 5/6, when we were up here at 3/8, those fractions were already reduced. But this fraction's not. So we have to add one more step. I have to think about what goes into 10 and goes into 12. What number goes into 10 and what number goes into 12? Well, that number is 2. So I'm going to take 10 and rewrite it as 2 times 5, sort of taking the number and breaking it back down. 12 is 2 times 6. We have a common factor of 2 on the top and bottom. So our final answer is 5/6. 5/6. All right, let's move to the next one. The next one is 2/9 plus 2/3. 2/9 plus 2/3. I want you all to tell me in the chat what you think the least common denominator would be. All right, what do you think, Mr. Green? Exactly. Very good. If we take the multiples of 9, 9 times 1 is 9, 9 times 2 is 18. Don't really need to go very far because I realize I have 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 is our common denominator. The 2/9 already in ninths, so I don't need to change it. But 2/3 is not ninths. So we have to change 2/3 into ninths. What are we going to multiply the top and bottom by? What number will we multiply the top and bottom? All right, we got a 3, another 3. We're looking at what number do we multiply the top and bottom by? Okay, look hard. Got another 3. Ms. Hudson, what do you think? 3. Very good. Yes, because I need to change the 3 into 9, and the way I do that is multiply the bottom by 3. I have to do the same thing on the top and get 2 times 3 and 3 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and our 3 times 3 gives us 9. Now we have a denominator that is the same, so the denominator and our answer is the same. And then we add 2 plus 6 and get 8. Then we need to look at 8/9 and think, is there a number that will go into 8 and also go into 9? Is there? Is there a number that will go into 8 and also go into 9? Is there a number that will go into 8 and go into 9 that will divide into both of those? So we need to think about, what do we multiply together to get 8? What do we multiply together to get 9? Is there anything that's the same? Okay, that's very true, Mr. Sanchez. 1 is a common factor. But is there anything else? We have 2 no's. Ms. Hudson, Mr. Green, any number that will go into 8 and 12? And how about you, Mr. Green? All right, well, our no's have it. Well, the answer is no. That is the answer. There is no number that goes into 8 and goes into 9. So that is reduced. That is reduced. Okay. And Mr. Green, as I keep telling all of my students, this is a place to learn. This is a place for safe learning. You will make mistakes. We all make them. And so this is a place to learn from those mistakes. So do not feel bad about not knowing. Say, I don't know. That's what I need to know, is that you don't know, so that we can discuss it. Okay. All right. The next one on our list here is 7/8 minus 3/10. 7/8 minus 3/10. This one's a little tougher. A little tougher. Look at your multiples of 8. 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, 8 times 4, 8 times 5. Then look at your multiples of 10. 10 times 1, 10 times 2, 10 times 3, 10 times 4. What do you think? Okay, Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter says 40 as the least common denominator. Again, if you have to write them out over here on the side. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 36. And 8 times 5 is 40. For 10, it's 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. 10 times 3 is 30. 10 times 4, 40. There's our common denominator. Okay, so yes, our common denominator is 40. This time we have to change both fractions. We have to change both fractions. So tell me in chat what this number up here on the top of the first fraction will be. If we have to change 7/8 into 40ths, what do we get for the number on top? Because you have to think about, what did I multiply 8 by to get 40? And whatever I multiply 8 by to get 40, I have to multiply the top, the 7, by the same amount. So Ms. Carter says 35. Multiply by 5. Correct. Okay, so we're taking the 8 and multiplying it by 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Then we have to do the same thing on the top. 7 times 5 is 35. Now we have to change 3/10 into 40ths. So I want to know, what is the number up here on the top? Mr. Sanchez says 12. Ms. Carter says 12. Ms. Hudson. Ms. Carter says multiply by 3. Careful, Ms. Hudson. Careful, Ms. Carter. You got 12, but there you go. There you go. So we have to multiply the bottom by 4. 10 times 4 to give us 40, and 3 times 4 to give us 12. So now, since our denominators are the same, our denominator in our answer is the same, and we have to take 35 and subtract 12, and we take 35 and subtract 12, we get what, 23? 20, 35, 23. Then we have to think about, is there a number that goes into 23 and into 40? Well, 23 is really prime. It's only 1 times 23. 40 is lots of things. So you're right, Miss Carter, there is nothing that goes into 23 and goes into 40. So that is reduced. Okay. The next one is 5/6 minus 4/5. Okay. I want you to do this one by yourself. Do this one by yourself. So find your least common denominator, change your fractions, do the subtraction. And when you have an answer, type it into the chat for me. Ms. Hudson, Mr. Green. Mr. Green, were you able to get something? I was asking for you to put your answer. What did you get for a final answer for that problem? Okay, very good. That's the correct answer, 1/30. Let's see how we did it. 6. We take 6 times 1 and get 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. So our common denominator, our least common denominator, is 30. To change 6 into 30ths, we multiply the bottom by 5. So I have to do the same thing on the top, and we get 25. To change 4/5 into 30ths, we multiply the bottom by 6, the top by 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 4 times 6 is 24. So we take 25/30 minus 24/30, and we get 1/30. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to give you some to do for classwork. So give me just a second here. Okay. And
if you liked this video, please click on the thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please click on the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when new videos are posted, please click the bell.